Welcome to Hamster NBC. I'm Pears the Hamster. This is Kids Ask Why, the show where curious kids ask big questions, and the answers surprise not only kids, but parents too. Today's question is a special one, so listen closely and stay curious. And before we begin, remember to watch till the very end, because a long-awaited bedtime story is waiting for you. A calm story. A cozy story, made especially for a quiet, peaceful night. What will an ant do if it finds itself far from its nest? In a certain nest lived a small ant named Archie. He knew the way home perfectly well. Ants navigate in different ways. Some follow a scent trail. Others memorize the shapes of trees, and some even look at the sun to figure out their direction. Archie knew the way too. He ran along the familiar path every day. But one day, something unusual happened. Archie climbed into a small boat near the riverbank. The boat floated off. The river carried him to the other bank. When the boat stopped, everything around him was unfamiliar. Different trees, different smell, different sky above. Archie ran to look for the scent trail, but there was none. He looked at the trees. Ants memorized their shapes, but here, the treetops were completely different. He looked at the sun. Some ants can follow its direction, but Archie didn't know where he'd come from. He hadn't walked here on his own, so he couldn't calculate the way back. Ants can return home only if they've walked it themselves. If an ant is more than a few hundred meters away, it gets completely lost. It will wander back and forth. It will look for familiar signs, but there won't be any. Ants are excellent navigators. They can run far and return in a straight line, but only if they've walked there themselves. If an ant drives 100 kilometers in a car or floats far down a river, it won't be able to find its anthill. It won't spend its whole life searching for it. It simply doesn't know where to look. Ants are social insects. It's important for them to be together. A single ant feels restless. It runs a lot and wastes energy. An ant doesn't live long without a family. That's why ants always stick to paths and don't wander too far. And if you see a small ant running confidently along the ground, know that it's heading home along an invisible map that only it understands. And now the day is slowly drawing to a close. The noise grows quieter. Thoughts slow down. And it's time for storytelling. But before we begin, let's do one small but important thing. If you enjoy learning new things, if you enjoy listening to stories before bed, and if you want to come back again, subscribe to the Hamster NBC channel and like this video. This way, you'll help us create even more kind stories and clear explanations for children all over the world. Now, get comfortable. History is waiting for you. The Swineherd, Hans Christian Andersen. Once upon a time there lived a poor prince. His kingdom was tiny, but it was still a kingdom worth marrying. And marrying was exactly what he wanted. It was certainly presumptuous to ask the emperor's daughter, "Will you marry me?" But Idarith, his name was known throughout the world, and hundreds of princesses would have thanked him. But what would the emperor's daughter say? Let's hear it. On the prince's father's grave grew a rose bush, and what a beautiful one it was. It bloomed only once every 5 years. A single rose blossomed on it, but its fragrance was so sweet. Smell it, and all your sorrows were forgotten. The prince also had a nightingale, and it sang as if all the most wonderful songs in the world were gathered in its throat. So the prince decided to give the princess a rose and a nightingale. They placed them in large silver and sent them to her. The emperor ordered the caskets to be brought to his great hall. The princess was playing a game there with her ladies having nothing else to do. The princess saw the caskets with the gifts and clapped her hands with joy. "Oh, if only there was a little kitty here," she said. But a wonderful rose appeared. "Oh, how beautifully done," the ladies in waiting said in unison. "Nicely enough." The emperor responded, "It's downright pretty." The princess touched the rose and almost burst into tears. "Ugh, Papa. It's not artificial, it's real." "Ah!" the courtiers echoed in unison. "It's real. Let's not get angry. Let's see what's in the other chest first." said the emperor. And so a nightingale fluttered out of the chest and sang so marvelously that at first there was nothing to complain about. Incomparable. Magnificent, said the ladies in waiting. They all chattered in French, each worse than the other. This bird reminds me so much of the late empress's organ, said an old courtier. Yes, yes, the same sound and the same manner. Yes, said the emperor, and wept like a child. I hope the bird isn't real? Asked the princess. It is, replied the messengers who had brought the gifts. Then let it fly, said the princess, and flatly refused to receive the prince. But the prince was not despondent. He smeared his face with black and brown paint, pulled his cap down over his eyes, and knocked on the door. Hello, Emperor, he said. Do you have a place for me in the palace? There are a lot of you wandering around looking for me. The emperor replied, But wait, I need a swineherd. We have a ton of pigs. So the prince was appointed His Majesty's swineherd and given a squalid little room next to the pigsty where he was to live. So he spent the whole day working, and by evening he had made a wonderful little pot. The pot was covered with bells, and when something was cooking in it, the bells tinkled an old song. Ah, my dear Augustine, all is past, 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 past. But the most interesting thing about the pot was that if you held a couple of fingers over it, you could immediately tell what was cooking in the city. It was, needless to say, better than a rose. One day, the princess was strolling with all her maids of honor and suddenly heard a melody ringing on sleigh bells. She stood there, beaming, because she, too, could play My dear Augustine. Only that melody, and with only one finger? Oh! I can do that too, she said. Our swineherd must be educated. Listen, let someone go and ask how much this instrument costs. So one of the maids of honor had to go to the swineherd, only she had to put on wooden shoes for the task. What will you take for the pot? She asked. 10 kisses from the princess, answered the swineherd. Lord have mercy. Absolutely not less, answered the swineherd. Well, what did he say? Asked the princess. It's impossible to even pronounce it. The maid of honor replied, That's terrible! Then whisper it in my ear. And the maid of honor whispered to the princess. What a rude man, said the princess, and walked on. But before she'd taken a few steps, the bells began ringing so sweetly again. Ah, my dear Augustine, it's all over, over, over. Listen, said the princess. Go and ask him if he'd agree to 10 kisses from my maids of honor. No, thank you, replied the swineherd. 10 kisses from the princess, or I'll keep the pot. How boring, said the princess. Well, stand around me, so no one sees. The maids of honor blocked the princess's view, spreading their skirts, and the swineherd received 10 kisses from the princess, and the princess received the pot. What joy that was! The pot stood on the fire all evening and all the next day, and there wasn't a single kitchen in the city, be it a chamberlain's or a shoemaker's, that the princess didn't know they were cooking. The ladies-in-waiting danced with joy and clapped their hands. We know who's having the sweet soup and pancakes today. We know who's having the porridge and pork chops. How interesting, most interesting. The chamberlain's wife confirmed. But keep your mouth shut. I'm the emperor's daughter. Have mercy. They all saive. And the swineherd, well, the prince. But to them he was still just a swineherd, wasted no time in making a rattle. Just twirling it in the air, it bursts into every waltz and polka in the world. But this is marvelous, said the princess, passing by. I've never heard anything better. Listen, ask him what he wants for this instrument. But I won't kiss him anymore. He demands 100 kisses from the princess, reported the maid of honor, leaving the swineherd. He must be crazy, said the princess, and walked on, but after taking 2 steps, she stopped. Art must be encouraged, she said. I'm the emperor's daughter. Tell him I'll agree to 10 kisses like yesterday, and he can get the rest for my maids of honor. Oh, we really don't want to, said the ladies-in-waiting. What nonsense, said the princess. If I can kiss him, then you certainly can. Don't forget that I feed you and pay your wages." The lady-in-waiting had to go to the swineherd again. 100 kisses. "From the princess," he said. "Otherwise, everyone will stay where they are. Form a circle," said the princess, and the ladies-in-waiting surrounded her, while the swineherd began kissing her. "What's this gathering at the pigsty?" asked the emperor, stepping out onto the balcony. He rubbed his eyes and put on his glasses. "The ladies-in-waiting must be up to something again. I must go and see." And he straightened the backs of his shoes. His worn-out boots served as shoes. Oh, how quickly he walked! The emperor descended into the courtyard and crept quietly toward the ladies-in-waiting, who were busy counting kisses. After all, it was imperative that the matter be handled honorably, and the swineherd receive exactly what was due, no more, no less. That's why no one noticed the emperor, but he stood on tiptoe and peeked. "What's this?" he said, realizing the princess was kissing the swineherd, and he smacked them over the head with his slipper. This happened just as the swineherd was receiving his 86th kiss. "Get out!" the emperor said angrily, and pushed the princess and the swineherd out of his realm. The princess stood there crying, the swineherd cursing, and the rain poured down. "Oh, my poor soul," the princess lamented. "If only I could marry a handsome prince. Oh, how wretched I am." The swineherd went behind a tree, wiped the black and brown paint from his face, threw off his dirty clothes. There before her stood the prince in royal robes, so handsome that the princess couldn't help but curtsy. "Now, I despise you," he said. "You refused to marry an honest prince. You understood neither a nightingale nor a rose, yet you could kiss a swineherd for trifles. Serves you right." He went back to his kingdom and bolted the door, and the princess could only stand and sing, "Ah, my dear Augustine, it's all ovo, ovo."